Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple Drains. Today we are in a city called Brandon, which is a small suburb outside of Tampa, between Tampa and Orlando. And we are going to be waterproofing the foundation of this house. And again, we're going to use the easy flow. We're going to dig along the foundation wall, trench that out, seal the wall with liquid rubber, and then install the easy flow as the footer pipe, which will lead to a sump pump. Sump pump lifts it up and sends it out here to the street. So to help you understand a footer system that is very shallow, especially here in Florida, you can see the shovel. This is underneath of the footer. The footer is solid concrete all the way up, usually 8 inches thick. This one might be a little thicker. And then the block sits on top of the footer. Then they stucco the walls, that type of whatever exterior you put on. What we're going to do is lay our styrofoam peanut pipe. Remember, it's called Easy Drain, made by NDS. And what that is 4-inch perforated pipe surrounded by styrofoam peanuts encased in fabric. As water floods up, it comes through the voids of the styrofoam, enters into the perforated pipe from the bottom, and runs over to a sump basin, or it could discharge to daylight, but here we're putting it into a sump basin. Sump pump lifts it up and carries it away. Next, we're going to go ahead and seal this wall. We'll come up about 2 or 3 inches above the top of the footer because the floor level is way up here. So we want to make sure we seal this all the way down. We hose this off, clean it all off, because water's penetrating through, and you can see the voids here. Kind of a crappy pour of their footer. Remember how footers are dug and poured. They basically dig a trench with a shovel or excavator. It's 8 inches wide and 8 inches deep. And the sand or the dirt holds the side of the concrete. So when they pour it, it's not a straight, smooth finish. You can see how jagged this whole thing is. It's okay, it's all normal, but there's better ways to do things. Okay, so let's start our excavation, and you can see it's a lot of little obstacles in the way. We got pavers, bricks, edging, a lot of gravel, and an area that's really tough to dig through. You can do this, and I mean, if we can do it, you can do it, right? You can do this. It takes a little bit of patience and prep work to be able to get things started. We've already pulled back the gravel. We've covered the gravel with plastic so we can put that back because that dirt has to come out. Over here where Chuck's starting to dig, we're going to put a small catch basin, and then we're going to run the French drain, which is the perforated pipe surrounded by styrofoam peanuts. Could be gravel surrounding the pipe, but we're using styrofoam peanuts. That line will come across over here to where we've got the pavers marked out, makes a 90, turns and ties into the sump basin right at the corner of the house there behind that air conditioner. So over here is where we're going to be setting our sump basin, and we have to be real careful as we dig here to see what's down there, make sure we're able to actually set our basin into place. We already found hundreds of irrigation lines, and this looks to be a tree root, but we'll double check it and just carefully dig around that. But the sump basin is a really important step. Remember, everything's draining to that basin. So we've got to get it deep enough that our footer pipe can drain into it on both sides, as well as, remember back there where the irrigation lines are broken, that French drain must also tie into here as well. That line will come up, discharge down through here, and you remember out front where I was cutting the sod, and we'll go ahead and pump it all the way out here to the sidewalk. So lay out your discharge line, which in this case is 1.5 inch, schedule 40 PVC. Remember, this line is under pressure. The pump's going to push that line through here, or push the water through here. It doesn't have to be very deep, and it'll discharge to a pop-up or a grate there at the sidewalk. We're going to cut the sod off right here. Not too concerned about sod back here. It's pretty weak. We'll just trench through the area. We're going to lay out some tarps out front, and this is the discharge of the pipe. So using your pipe as a straight edge, cut off your sod, try to be right beside the pipe You just need it a shovel wide so you can scrape the sod right off. Do about 10 feet, or you can do the whole thing. I've already done the other side. If you're strong enough, you can do it like this. If not, you can definitely put your foot on it and kick it off. I'm going to move this piece out, and then we're just going to cut it off. Small little sections, a foot or so. Use your body weight, scrape it up, set it nicely beside your trench. A lot of tree roots under here. And you'll do this the whole way. So basically you'll do that, wherever you're going to cut sod. And I've already cut this little section just to show you. Then you're going to trench the line. Remember, this line's only about 6 inches deep because it's pressurized. The pump's going to push it. Out here we're going to discharge. We may turn and go over to this low spot right there. Okay, so work's progressing quite well. You can see we've got our trench for the French drain dug. You'll notice it's already full of water. Well, we'll show you that in a second. Over here we've dug down to the bottom of the footer. And then we had the tunnel underneath of this pool heater pad, excuse me, because we need to get this line to come clear through. Remember all the obstacles, there's lots of them. Bill was able to get underneath of there quite well. He's right on top of some of the irrigation lines on down there in the bottom. And then we have one more tough spot to get through right here between that sprinkler box, irrigation box, and the wall, but we'll get that. Sometimes when you're digging, it's easy to do. You can see these are irrigation lines, and it just takes a tap with your shovel and you put a hole in it. When you do that, you have to run around to the front and shut off that water. Wherever your main water shutoff is, shut that water off. And then you expose the area so that you can make the repair. Looks like we've got 1-inch pipe underneath there. That's the main line. We've got to cut that off 2 places, put some couplings on there, and push it back together. So not real hard. What makes it a little difficult for the homeowners is you can see they've got 2 lines, one right on top of the other, and that makes it difficult if you've never done this before. Okay, so we set up our Zoller M98. You've seen me do this many times. We start with an 1.5" male threaded adapter, a small riser to the check valve, arrows point upwards. Notice that I drilled a 3/16" hole as a pressure relief so that it doesn't get airlocked. Now we're going to set this down into the sump basin and make the measurement for the discharge line. This pump's heavy, about 35 pounds. So it's a big old pump, real powerful. That's what we need for the outside drain. It comes with a 9-foot cord, and we're going to plug it in right up here. So again, now we're going to make the measurement from the top of that check valve to right up here at the top of the sump basin. You can see we've already got our discharge line laying out here. We'll hook all that up. Then we're finishing tarring the wall, which is liquid rubber. We put a good coat of that on there to help seal that foundation. Real important to hit right underneath of the stucco. That's where you're always going to get the leaks, between stucco and footer. So get it nice and thick through there. And you can see it's not very deep here at all. We're only about 1 foot deep. And coming across, we'll put our Styrofoam peanut pipe in. We'll drill a 4-inch hole here and another 4-inch hole here to accept the line as it comes around the back. Okay, so we've got everything plumbed. Our Zoller M98 with a check valve comes up, riser comes out through the 1.5" pipe. Then we sealed the wall with liquid rubber. We've got our footer pipe, which is the perforated pipe surrounded by Styrofoam peanuts coming along the wall. Short piece of just perforated with cloth on it as it comes into the basin. Same thing on this side. Then we've got more peanut pipe. Over here we had no choice. We had to run all kinds of material just to get under and around the entire sprinkler system. And same thing over here as it goes underneath of the pool heater and pool return lines, and that goes all the way over, if you can see, over to the pool deck. Here we have a piece of solid which comes around, is picking up the yard drain, because water comes down that hill. You can see how high that is up to the golf course, and it just floods this area really bad. So we put another section of the French drain here with the catch basin over here in the low spot, so that as water comes down that hill, picks up here surface water, and groundwater is picked up by the French drain. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day.